Journal is the Beach 24 Golf Charlie Foxtrot Whiskey.
Golf Charlie Foxtrot Whiskey, Journal.
Toronto Journal, Beach Golf Charlie Foxtrot Whiskey just departed the Oshawa Airport on a filed VFR flight plan to St Catharines. Request flight following if possible.
Charlie Foxtrot Whiskey, Roger, Squawk Cadet.
Squawk Cadet.
Echo Lima Tango, Trail service terminates, contact Civvy Tower to transit 118.2.
2 for Foxtrot, yeah, Lima Tango.
Charlie Foxtrot Whiskey, you're identified 2,300 feet, are going by the shoreline?
Affirmative along the shoreline.
Charlie Foxtrot Whiskey, Roger.
For Maruna's first flight since the rebuild, we were going to fly out to Port Elgin to visit a friend at his cottage, but there were intermittent thunderstorms in the whole area and we had to scrub that plan. So instead, we decided we'd head down to the Niagara region again, do a quick tour of the falls, grab some lunch in that area, and if we were lucky, visit with a couple of friends who live down there.
Could take off the polarizing filter, I think. Is it on there? Oh no, it's not.
Even with all the convective activity in the area though, it turned out to be a really hazy day with pretty poor visibility. It was more than enough for VMC, but not great for taking photos. We did manage to get a few nice shots along the way, but there wasn't a whole lot to see till we got to Niagara. The Niagara Regional Airport is a small, untowered airport with a flight school, a little bit of GA traffic, and a lot of helicopter traffic for the tours around Niagara Falls. It's just a few short kilometers from St Catharines, so we decided to get on our bikes, ride into town, and find a spot for lunch there. For those of you who aren't familiar with the area, Niagara is actually one of Canada's best wine-producing regions. Not only are there some truly good wines that come out of here, but it also makes for some really nice scenery. And we got to ride by some beautiful vineyards, as well as apple, peach, and plum orchards. St. Catharines is a small town that grew up around the Welland Canal, which connects Lake Erie and Lake Ontario to support all the freighter traffic. Somehow, it's also become a bit of an epicenter for vegan food, and we'd heard about this place called Rise Above from some of our friends, and we decided to check that out, and it did not disappoint. After visiting our friends right around the corner from the restaurant, we got back on our bikes and rode down to Lake Ontario along the Welland Canal. We weren't planning on such a long ride, but we needed to kill some time as we waited for the remnants of the thunderstorms to move through the Toronto area. The Welland Canal is still actively used to move shipping traffic between the lakes, so as a bonus, we got to see a Nova Algoma ship going underneath one of the drawbridges and then slowly making its way through lock number 1 just before the entrance to Lake Ontario. The process of emptying the locks takes forever though, so we just watched the ship go through the drawbridge and then we headed back to the airport for the flight home. As you probably know, the Niagara region is most famous for the falls. We didn't go there on this trip, but a couple of weeks later my sister came down for a visit from Ottawa with her 2 kids, and we all took one of the Hornblower boat cruises to the bottom of the falls. Apparently I did one of these cruises as a toddler, but I have no recollection of it. I always thought they were kind of kitschy, but I gotta say I was really impressed. The power of the falls is just spectacular, and I'd highly recommend doing this short cruise if you get the chance. way back from the falls, we passed a Maid of the Mist boat, which is the equivalent cruise from the American side. With the isolation we've all felt from COVID, I think both boatfuls of people were pretty thrilled to see each other. Now back to our flight. By the time we got back to the plane, the airport terminal and the FBO had closed, which made for a quiet, beautiful takeoff shortly before sunset.
Alright, here we go.
St Catharines Radio, Sierra Fox Tango Echo Sierra overhead the field to join a mid downwind runway 24.
Why the hell are you so low?
Fox Tango Echo Sierra, roger.
Alright, clear up. St Catharines Radio, Golf Charlie Foxtrot Whiskey is up and clear of the runway.
Charlie Foxtrot Whiskey, roger.
Nice. So I did my flight plan on here, and it's kind of complicated because it's got all these coordinates. I sent it here with the click of a button, and then this thing pops up. It's like, oh, new route. You want to load it?
It was a pretty smooth and uneventful ride home, with one minor exception. The standard route flying home from Niagara is to follow the south shoreline of Lake Ontario out west toward Hamilton, curve around Burlington and Oakville, and then follow the north shoreline back toward Toronto. As we were approaching Hamilton, though, the controller asked if I could help out by turning north before I got there. It doesn't sound like a big deal, except this meant that I'd be out over the water, further than gliding distance from land. So if my new engine were to choose this moment to quit, we'd be ditching in the lake, without any flotation devices on hand. I probably should have declined the request, but since it was only going to be a couple of minutes away from land, I decided we'd take a calculated risk. Thankfully, again, no harm was done, but I did go out a couple of weeks later and buy us inflatable PFDs to have on hand just in case. The PFDs will also make it easier for us to fly straight across the lake instead of following the shoreline when we fly to Niagara next time, which will cut the flying time in half. If you enjoyed the video, I'd really appreciate it if you'd give it a like and subscribe to my channel. I've got a really interesting video coming out soon. I did my first fly-in a few weeks ago, and we had a near miss with another plane on short final. I'm hoping to talk to that other pilot about what happened and what lessons we can take away from it, so hopefully we decrease the chances of something like that happening again. And it's going to be a collaboration with an aviation YouTuber who you probably know, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Until next time, fly safe.